Welcome back to the Deep Drive. This is episode 2. I'm your co-host Ahan, here with my boy Max. Max, how are we doing? With a few days after the All-Star break, the Tigers are 1-3, but so are my Red Sox. I think you're not happy about your situation. I think I'm happy about mine. What's the vibe?
I mean, the vibe as a Tigers fan right now, I feel like I'm kind of getting it's reminding me of the bad teams. It's almost hard to believe the Tigers are in such a good spot considering how bad they've been recently. But
Yeah, I mean, the Tigers like all the memes about their All Stars not doing well in the All Star game. I was just like, are they about to win 10 games in a row just for the memes? That did not happen, but maybe it starts tonight. So we are live on Twitch as usual every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Go live on Twitch, twitch.tv/AhanR. If you are in chat, thanks for being here. You get to participate in the podcast with us. Today's agenda should be pretty straightforward. It's the perfect time of the MLB regular season. We just come off the All-Star break. The trade deadline is around the corner. So we got some stuff prepared for you all today. And if you are in chat, feel free to drop us questions or whatnot. Ask us about your favorite teams, whatnot. If you are listening to this afterwards, we upload these on my YouTube at Ball Institute every Wednesday night, so you can find the podcast there as well if you missed the live streams. But regardless of your interest level in the podcast, join up the Discord. I put the Discord link in the Twitch chat as well right now. We're having a rough week betting MLB, but that just means the hot streak is around the corner. And I dropped MLB bets and WNBA bets for today. The WNBA is also coming off an All-Star break. So we got bets coming, and we have the NFL around the corner. And the Discord for right now is absolutely free. So come join the Discord. But otherwise, I think it's time to talk some baseball. Only a few days after the All-Star break, I think we got to talk about some elephants in the room. Speaking of Tigers, Eugenio Suarez might be the best player in baseball.
yeah, he's been incredible. He's hit 5 home runs. He's come up to the plate 17 times the second half. He has 5 home runs on the season. He's hit at a level over 50% above league average. He's been his Fangraphs wins above replacements 3.4. I mean, he's been incredible, which I mean, I remember when he was a Tiger and I think he had some okay seasons with the Tigers, but he never hit like this, that's for sure.
Yeah, I feel like Suarez is like one of those hitters where the old heads who like want you to hit line drives and like not launch the ball or whatever. Like he is the exact player that the old heads don't like because he swings at a lot of pitches, but he's there to make his money with home runs, and he's running into a lot right now. And this guy has not been a good defender this year. He doesn't provide value on the base paths. But what he does do is trot around the bases after he hits the ball 400 plus feet. And he ranks in the 91st percentile in barrel rate, 88th percentile in hard hit rate. So he's smashing the ball, but he does swing at a lot. And that brings me to the question. I mean, we were talking the other day about potential Eugenio Suarez landing spots at the trade deadline, which is soon. And the Yankees obviously going to be interested. They're always interested in whoever the best power hitter at the deadline is. But there are some other landing spots as well. First off, like, are we both on the same page in that Suarez is definitely getting traded, given the D-backs are probably going to be aggressive sellers? And two, is this going to be sustainable? I mean, he might not hit 5 home runs every 17 plate appearances, but is his 150 plus WRC plus going to be somewhat sustainable at least the remainder of the season?
Well, I feel like the answers to both those questions are pretty easy. The Diamondbacks, their chance of making the playoffs on Fangraphs, it's listed at 15% about. They have to trade him because he's going to be a free agent after the season. And I mean, he's hitting extraordinarily well. I mean, he's never hit this well. And the previous 3 seasons, his weighted runs created plus is 117 combined over those years. he does hit the ball well, like you said. He barrels it. His hard hit rate's high, but, like, his success on contact, I think it's, like, more it might be that more than a third of his hits have been home runs. Like, he is the 7th best weighted on base average on contact, which is, like, production on balls in play, but he does not, even though his barrel rate and hard hit rate are good, he does not hit the ball as well as guys like Kyle Schwarber and James Wood. I have a, like, predictive version of that stat, and he ranks around 40th, which is above average, but he's not, like, one of the best. I know he has a lot of home runs, but he's not as talented as power hitters like Judge, Ohtani, and those guys.
Yeah, and if you look just through the last few years of his career, you go on Baseball Savant, and his profile has been like kind of shockingly consistent in terms of like he hasn't chased too often, but he still whiffs a lot. And that was true in 2022, 2023, in 2024. His chase rate went up a lot, and this year his chase rate is actually one of the worst it's been his entire second half of his career. So if anything, he's getting even less selective at these pitches, and he's just happening to hit the ball. When he hits the ball, they're gone. And I think the funniest outcome for me would be, yes, I know I'm rooting for the Red Sox to miss the playoffs, but I'm also rooting for the Yankees' demise till the day I die. So my favorite outcome would be him getting traded to the Yankees and then coming back down to earth immediately. Would be the funniest outcome for sure. Shout out to the people in chat like Duval J. Be like Duval J and join the streams. So Suarez, yeah, he's going to get traded, but is he going to hit 5 home runs every 17 plate appearances? I'm going to say a no on that. But speaking of hitters who are maybe on the decline, another guy that you wanted to bring up was this Mookie Betts guy used to be a pretty good player. 2018 happened, and he's put up arguably one of the best seasons as an overall position player we've seen in this generation. You fast forward, the trade happens. It's not even the Red Sox trade that I minded the most in the last few years, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. But this season, I bet on Mookie Betts last night, and it's a miracle that the bet hit. At this point, if Mookie Betts does anything, you kind of think like, is the guy back? But he's definitely not been back. And I've been keeping an eye on the Mookie Betts versus Ceddanne Rafaela WRC Plus watch, and it's getting worse every day. So, is there any hope for Mookie Betts left now that he's moved to the leadoff spot?
I love Mookie Betts. I mean, he's on one of my. I'm in this one league where we like, it's a keeper league, and we draft. It's like 50-man rosters, and we have like minor league teams of prospect. I drafted Mookie Betts like when that league started in like 2017. So I root very hard for him, but he's not hitting the ball as well. Like, he's not walking as much, which maybe he's not walking as much because pitchers aren't as scared of him. I don't know. I mean, he still doesn't strike out, which is good, but like strikeouts, I mean, like, I know people post like recently people have been posting like different stats of offenses and how they relate to run scoring, and it's not the case that like if you strike out you're a bad hitter, or if you don't strike out that's incredible. It's like usually strikeouts, maybe they come because of your swing. So like it'd be okay if Mookie Betts struck out a little more if it meant he actually could barrel the ball, which he only does like 5% of the time. I mean, someone like Suarez who strikes out a lot, like it's okay that he strikes out a lot because he's hit over 30 home runs. So
yeah, and another thing about Mookie Betts is like when he was on the Red Sox, the term that people kept using like in the clubhouse for his swing was bat speed. And funnily enough, Baseball Savant has started keeping track of bat speed data going back to 2023. And 2023 happened to be, one of those incredible years for Mookie Betts where he was one of the best hitters in baseball in damn near every metric. But that was when you started to see the slight decline of bat speed. he was in the 38th percentile there, but he would still basically crush everything in the zone and also not swing it much outside the zone. And then 2024, you start seeing some signs of decline, but he was still in the upper 10th percentile in xwOBA, in sweet spot percentage, in chase rate, whiff rate, walk rate, strikeout rate, whatever it may be. But his bat speed went down to the 13th percentile. His barrel rate was in the 29th percentile. His hard hit rate was in the 44th percentile. And whether you want to call it a series of injuries or just age getting to him now that he's in his 30s, 2025 is the first year where you're like, Mookie Betts is not a good player. And this...
He's still a good player.
I mean, I applaud him for his versatility with wanting to play multiple positions on the field. But, I mean, he ranks below average in xwOBA. He ranks in the bottom quartile of all hitters in barrel rate. And his bat speed also, again, in the 11th percentile. So this, to me, is like not a smokescreen at all. I mean, they are trying everything possible for Mookie Betts to sort of have his going off moment. And again, like I always think funny possible outcome, like I said with Eugenio, like Mookie Betts is known notoriously to be a bad high leverage hitter in the playoffs, which is, again, like sample size wise, it's not necessarily the most credible to just cherry pick high leverage situations in the playoffs, but pretty much every big moment that you can think of in Mookie Betts' playoff career, it's become a meme at this point that when it gets cold outside, Mookie Betts disappears. The funniest outcome would be after him having his roughest regular season, that in the playoffs he goes off this year. And if that finally happens and if Mookie Betts takes till his age 32 season to become a good playoff hitter, then I will be amused. But for now, like to me, this is like not a smokescreen at all. If you're hitting with Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, by the way, having an incredible season, has been the best hitting catcher in baseball this year. Like if you're hitting in that lineup, like you should not be a below average hitter, which is what he is right now. So I think we're officially seeing the decline of Mookie Betts, but that may be cope. While Jay says, Mookie Betts, here's your leadoff home run incoming. I mean, this will be great clippable material if that does happen. Shout out Andy, our boy, Ball Institute video editor. Betts' OPS comparable to Anthony Volpe right now. That's how you know it's bad.
We're also talking about, though, this is Mookie Betts' worst season. And even in his worst season, he's still like, I think his wins above replacement is still like 1.5. Like, even at his worst, he's still a good player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like Mookie Betts can literally not go hitless the rest of the season. He's still a Hall of Famer. But it is interesting to see. It feels like a sort of Klay Thompson career path, where if he bounces back next season, you're like, oh yeah, like why were we making fun of Klay Thompson? Why are we making fun of Mookie Betts like he was good all along? But we shall see. But for now, I'm not expecting much out of Mookie Betts. And it may be a signal for the Dodgers to add a bat at the deadline, which you like. If the Dodgers do anything at the deadline anymore, like it's not surprising. Like no matter what they do, it won't be surprising. Like people make jokes about it on Twitter about how they'll trade for Eugenio Suarez for basically one prospect. They'll find a way to rob someone at the trade deadline. But for now, Mookie Betts not in a good spot. Andy says he had that sickness before the year. No idea. Yeah, but to be fair, he also had an extreme sickness that caused him to basically say that he can't feel his hands at spring training in 2018. I'm just putting that out there. Speaking of things that suck, I feel like I almost never want to give out apologies after 4-game sample sizes, but I might have to do that with the Giants because maybe they suck. Hayden Birdsong pitched last night against Atlanta, and he was pulled before he could get an out. He could not find the strike zone, and today he was demoted to AAA. And I feel that it's like that essentially summarizes the wash that may be this Giants season. And I never, ever turn around my take this much in a 4-game sample. But if I use Hayden Birdsong as part of my, like, these guys could be X factors for the Giants take just last week. So given what we saw from Hayden Birdsong, I feel like I need to apologize. Maybe the Giants suck. Rafael Devers is going to play first base, I believe tonight, which is going to be his career debut at first base. I don't know how much that's going to change, but he hasn't hit a home run in 20 games. And my take around the Giants was basically that, yeah, they'll struggle to make the playoffs because they're a quote unquote mid team, but they have a good core in that if they can sneak into the playoffs, they could pull off some upsets. But they do have to make it there in the first place. And I'm not sure how that's going to happen. And what's funny about this whole situation is they could really use a guy like Kyle Harrison, because Kyle Harrison would be pitching some solid innings right now. But Kyle Harrison is also in AAA for the Red Sox. So I absolutely don't know what to make of this Giants team. But I'll say this. I'm not backing down from the take that if this team somehow does make the playoffs, I may or may not be betting them at their underdog value. Duval J says Roop is dealing tonight, 6 Ks. Well, Landon Roop is pitching tonight. Is another guy that I think I briefly mentioned but didn't go into huge detail last episode, that like if they get one of these guys like Hayden Birdsong, Landon Roop to show up in a playoff run, like this team could be nice. Max, I don't know how you feel about the Giants, but to me, like I'm ready to give up, but I will probably be betting on the Giants tonight like a moron.
I like Landon Root, but I mean, last week you said you picked them to make the World Series, so you can't like completely it's only been a week, so I think you got to give it some time.
Yeah, and like I said, like if I bet on the Giants tonight, no one should be shocked because I might just go right back because I do believe in this team. If they make it that far, but I think that's a good transition to talk about one more team that has surprised at least some people. It's a team that I picked to finish firmly second in the division before the season started, and I still think they'll finish second, but they currently have the best record in baseball. And if you don't know by now, the Milwaukee Brewers just can't find a way to lose. Like the Brewers and the Red Sox were the hottest teams entering the All-Star break. And at the All-Star break, I yapped for 30 minutes about how the Red Sox are going to fall off now. The All-Star break was a bad thing for them, whatever. The Brewers have not been affected. And I'll not only say that, like, credit to the Brewers and credit to the Brewers for listening to my tweet a year ago and re-signing Brandon Woodruff. I think he went unsigned for so long, and I just randomly tweeted that Brandon Woodruff needs to be signed. He was hurt at the time, obviously, but like he still has baseball left in him, and I'm a believer in Brandon Woodruff. And I'm pretty sure the Brewers re-signed him the day after. So it's a full circle moment for Brandon Woodruff, who has been pitching very well. The GM of the Brewers, Matt Arnold, has said essentially that Freddie Peralta is not getting traded, which essentially means like the obvious, which is we're competing. We have the best record in baseball. Maybe we'll try to win the World Series this year, which is what you should do when you have the best record in baseball. But I'll use this as an opportunity to double down and say the Brewers are still frauds. And to me, like, they profile as exactly a very different team from the Giants in that, yes, they're a great regular season team. And the reason, like, I'm transitioning from the Giants to the Brewers is, like, there cannot be two more polar opposite teams in the National League right now than the Giants and the Brewers. The Giants are struggling at basically everything. The Brewers are struggling at basically nothing. We don't know how aggressive they're going to be at this trade deadline. Like, yes, they could get a bat, but they need a lot of pop in this lineup, to me, to compete with the Phillies, the Dodgers, etc. Like, to me, like, whoever wins this NL East, to me, I still like them in the playoffs more than the Brewers. To me, like, the Dodgers, no matter how injured they are, I still like them over the Brewers. I think the Cubs I trust more, even if they make it as a wild card team, just because, again, trade deadline in a few days, they could get another pitcher. But that Cubs lineup has so much pop, especially in the top half. Seiya Suzuki, Kyle Tucker. Like, in my opinion, the Brewers do not have a duo in that lineup that you can say are as dangerous as literally any one of the two hitters you can pick from the top of the Cubs lineup. So to me, the Brewers, they don't lift the ball. They fully rely on pitching and hitting a lot of singles. And to me, that's not a realistic candidate to win the World Series. Max, did I cook here?
I think you did. They honestly kind of remind me of the Tigers, where, like, I think the Tigers with Skubal, I think the Tigers are probably better than the Brewers. But like, I think it's like the same way for the Tigers. It's kind of crazy that the Brewers have the best record in baseball. Like, I've been betting on baseball a lot, and the Brewers are never heavily favored to win any game. Like, I don't think Vegas thinks the Brewers are that good. I mean, I can look it up right now. I want to see what the World Series odds are, but
Yeah.
I like even Freddie Peralta, like he's a playoff caliber starter, and I know Woodruff has been good, but like I don't know what the Brewers are good at. Like, I mean, I'm not saying
That's a
they're
clip.
bad, but
When the Brewers win the division, I want the Brewers to, for their October hype video, I want them to clip Max saying, "I don't know what the Brewers are good at." This is content. We got to make this happen.
so here the Brewers are listed. They have the eighth best odds, or eighth best odds on FanDuel of winning the World Series. But part of that is because they have the best record in baseball. Like it'd be interesting to know, like what does Vegas think of the Brewers just compared to all the other teams, but like not looking at the records.
Yeah, and we'll put up the odds on the screen in the post game edit. But for the record, I mean, you're going to see the Yankees up at the top. I mean, you see them up at the top every single year because people who don't watch baseball click the button no matter what. That's a smoke screen. They're not good. But besides that, Dodgers and Tigers, we talked about it last week as favorites, make sense in their respective leagues. But to me, like there is a reason. Like I said, the Phillies and the Mets are in the same division, and they both are shorter to win the World Series than the Brewers. And I think that's pretty telling about how Vegas views the Brewers' ceiling, which is a great point by you about like look at Vegas, and they would agree with me that the Phillies and Mets possibly have a higher ceiling than the Brewers. And around that area, you see teams like the Blue Jays and the Padres, which it makes sense why they're in the quote unquote long shot department. And you look at the Brewers are not much shorter than them. And it's like, you close your eyes and you think about the Blue Jays roster. Do you view them as World Series contenders? And most of you will probably say no. And you close your eyes and look at the Brewers roster, and you're like, well, they've won a million games in a row. They are World Series contenders, but Vegas doesn't view them very apart. So that's a great point. I think now is time to go to another topic, which is perfect for the events of recent times, and perfect for you. So on Sunday Night Baseball, which is the last game we saw to close out the first set of series after the All-Star break. So on Sunday Night Baseball, we saw Tarik Skubal go almost 7 innings, 105 pitches. It was a 1-0 game at the time. AJ Hinch took him out, and of course you're going to see a bunch of tweets saying Tarik Skubal got to stay in. Most of them came after the wild pitch that Tyler Holton gave up to tie the game. Everyone's a genius once the game ends, right? But to me, like as an observer, like this was so simple to me. It's not even about matchup hunting, which at the time, like during the game, heat of the moment, I was like, AJ Hinch is just matchup hunting, but also like common sense. Like the Tigers, if they lose a regular season game on Sunday Night Baseball and they win the World Series, I don't think they really care about how long they left Tarik Skubal in. So at the end of the day, like you leave the best pitcher in the game in baseball if the leverage is very high, but you would rather have him be completely healthy in the playoffs. And I think you view this as the same way as a Tigers fan. So I think, like, hindsight bias aside, like this isolated situation was not necessarily all too deep. It was just like Tarik Skubal got to be fresh. But I think this brings up a larger topic about hindsight bias in general. And to me, like the poster boy for this situation is 2020 World Series. Kevin Cash makes the quote unquote infamous decision to take Blake Snell out. And Max, like, I think we're on the same page. We agreed that decision, to this day, we stand by. I don't care what you say. Like I said, everyone's the expert after the game ends. But that decision was correct. And it brings up a hindsight bias discussion in general about baseball. Max, first of all, do we agree that Tarik Skubal, his arm being saved, was correct, even if the Tigers lose that game? And two, this Blake Snell situation from 2020, up until now, we've had this discussion. how do you properly judge situations like these? And which I hear that you did some work on which teams are treating their starters differently in 2025.
Yeah, so to talk about School first, I'm not surprised at all they took him out at 105 pitches. Like you were saying, like the Tigers, they want to win. They wanted to win on Sunday night, but you don't get a trophy for winning on Sunday Night Baseball. So Skubal is probably the best starting pitcher in baseball, and I think it was the second time this year they even let him throw over 100 pitches. So I think each pitch that the first pitch, the second pitch, and then the third pitch, like as you keep throwing more pitches, I think it's more stressful on your arm. So he had thrown, like you said, 105 pitches. So even though I think probably keeping Skubal in would probably boost your odds the most. Like that would probably be what you want to do if you're really trying to win on Sunday night. But the Tigers want to protect his arm for the playoffs. And then talking about Blake Snell, I think the Rays. It's confusing because he played for he's now a Dodger, but I think the Rays made the right call when they took him out. Probably that was the right call, but certainly you can't say it was the wrong call because the Rays blew the game and lost because that was just the game was played only one time. We would need to know, like, if the Rays made that same move 1,000 times, like, how often do they win versus keeping Snell in? I mean, you can't, like, if the Rays had won and Nick Anderson, who they had brought in to pitch instead of Snell, like, if he shut the door, everyone would be like, wow, Kevin Cash, he's brilliant. But because they took Snell out and Snell was upset, and then the fresh reliever gave up 2 runs. It's like, oh, Kevin Cash is a sabermetrist. He's an idiot.
I like how sabermetrist and idiot are being used by many as synonymous. Um, and I think there's just like a hindsight bias epidemic that goes on in all sports. And it's like JJ Redick. I keep talking about basketball because there are so many good analogies here. But JJ Redick leaving his starters in for an entire second half against the Timberwolves this year. If you're a basketball fan, many of you were just like, I think that people are so split about this. And I'm curious why people aren't more split about these decisions because, like, there's some debate to be had about these situations where you can take out a starter, you cannot take out a starter. We don't know for certain which decision is correct because you only play that game one time. That exact situation is only going to happen one time, and you want to make the decision that works more often than the other decision, right? And that's basically it. And the beauty about sports is that the correct thing doesn't happen every time. Like wild card teams win the World Series. The best team in baseball doesn't always win the World Series. And that's because like they play 5-game and 7-game series, whereas more times the better team would probably win if you played 101 game series, right?
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of sports. And to me, like the JJ Redick situation with leaving the starters in, it didn't work because they lost. It's like that doesn't make sense to me. Whereas people are split about that situation. Some say, yeah, JJ Redick cannot leave all his starters in the entire second half. There was no way that was going to work because people get tired, and it was never going to be sustainable in the fourth quarter just because they ended up losing that game and blowing the lead in the fourth quarter. Whereas the other side of the argument is, well, JJ Redick's backup is Jackson Hayes. So, yeah, maybe he was correct to leave in the better players to try to win a playoff game. And Duval J says Steve Kerr is the king. I have no idea what you're actually saying Steve Kerr is the king of, but if it's something negative utility, you're probably right. But going back to the baseball topic, like it's better to be split about these decisions rather than just outright say that something didn't work because something shouldn't have worked because it didn't. And Max, you did some looking into starting pitcher leashes specifically because that's always a topic of debate in 2025. And you have written an article for our Patreon. And if you I was going to say if you have access to the internet, but if anyone's listening to this, they have access to the internet, so that was a dumb comment. But if you are in Twitch right now or are watching this post game, go to patreon.com/Bo Institute, and I've dropped a link to the exact article that you wrote this week on starting pitcher leashes. Anything you want to tease from this article, or should they read it themselves?
They can read it if they want to, but
Yeah.
I think most of the time, like, I don't know why. I guess I try to do it because I think maybe it'll help me. But I take like notes after all the games. There are certain players like Davis Schneider on like the Blue Jays where like yesterday against Rodon, like once they bring a right-handed reliever in, he's gonna get pinch hit most likely if the game is competitive. So like I can learn stuff like that by taking notes. So I also like to write down if like a pitcher I feel like gets left in too long or too quickly, but really it's not necessarily what I would do, just like what I think the average manager would do. And I think usually managers do a good job of, well, if your guy's in the 5th inning and he's giving up 4 straight hits, probably he's going to get taken out. But sometimes you see it where a manager, he'll leave the pitcher in for a really long time, and maybe he'll let him face the order a 4th time, even though he's not a good pitcher. So this year, the team that's had the longest leashes for their starters, and I'm controlling for like how good or bad the pitcher is. So someone like Tarek Skubal, the Tigers, if he gives up a few hits in a row in the 6th inning, they still might actually be best served leaving him in. So like the team with the longest leash for their stars has been the Angels, and they actually have really bad starting pitching. And even though their stars aren't good, like Ron Washington would leave Kyle Hendricks in forever, and Tyler Anderson would get to face 25, 26 batters, even when he had given up 3 or 4 runs. So not now, actually. The new Angels manager is like the opposite. And like, I remember when the Angels played the Red Sox and Tyler Anderson I think he had only given up 1 run, and then in the 5th inning, and he walked someone, and maybe he was at like 80 some pitches, and then the manager probably correctly took him out, but that was something that Ron Washington never would have done. So actually for a while, I think Vegas was setting the outs props for Angel stars too high because they forgot that Ron Washington isn't there to leave them in forever.
Yeah, and I also see, I mean, I have to mention like the Red Sox being 6th on the list in terms of average leash, which is a metric that you have sort of coined based on all these factors. But the Red Sox are 6th here, and I promise you, it's not because all the starters. I mean, Crochet is obviously really good, but I promise you, it's not because the starters are elite. I promise you, it's not because Alex Cora is super like old school, and it has something to do with like the bullpen has been absolutely exhausted for a majority of the season, and not because of short leashes. I mean, this is kind of circular, but a lot of injuries to the bullpen. So that I mean, stuff like this also comes into play, and it's really hard to define like exactly what a leash should be. I mean, it's why like you have to play a game 1,000 times to have some sort of an idea of what might be more correct. So it's hard to come up with this concept, but I thought this was a good read, this article. So go read it. It's free for anybody who's a member of Patreon. So go read the article if you're curious about, as of yesterday, starting pitcher leashes this season. Max, I think it's time to play a game. I'm itching for some trivia, and this time I'm going first because we're talking about hitters at the top of the show, and I think it's only right. So here's a trivia question for you in chat. You can compete too if you would like. There are 214 MLB hitters this season with at least 250 plate appearances. Of those, we're going to look at 2 stats according to StatCast. So O swing percentage, which is the percentage of pitches that a hitter swings at outside the zone. So an outside swing rate. And we're also going to look at hard hit rate, which is exactly what it sounds like, is what percentage of your batted ball events are 95 miles an hour or higher off the bat. So we're looking at two StatCast metrics. So of the 214 quote unquote qualified hitters, there are 20 with a StatCast outside swing rate less than 21%. So they're good at not swinging outside the zone. And 28 hitters with a hard hit rate over 51%. So they are good at hitting the ball hard. There are only 5 hitters that satisfy both of those. So hitters that don't swing a lot outside the zone, yet hit the ball hard a lot. Can you name these 5 hitters?
This is a fun one. I mean, I think the very obvious one, and it's part of the reason he's so good, Juan Soto has to be one of the 5.
Juan Soto is, I believe, number 1 in not swinging outside the zone, which makes complete sense. And he's also number 7 in hard hit rate. So he's the obvious name off the list.
Okay, now these next ones, it's not going to be as easy.
I think there's one more name that is like I believe in you enough that you should be able to get it without a hit.
Mm-hmm. How about Mike Trout?
Mike Trout is the other name I was thinking about. So you're 2 for 2, Soto and Trout. If you go for the sweep, I will be actually impressed. Like, even for you have a high standard. You've set a high standard, but I will be impressed even for your standards if you sweep this.
Okay. I'm gonna go through the divisions in my head.
Might not be a bad approach. Am I looking at this correctly? That this may be a hint. I don't know if it is a hint or not, but I believe all 6 hitters on this list are in different divisions. Which is actually crazy.
Oh, that is helpful. So I guess that means 1 for each division.
Or did I say 6? There's only 5 names, but yes, all 5 are in different divisions. That is a true statement.
Kyle Schwarber.
So Kyle Schwarber is not on the list, but and also that was a bad guess because I just told you that all 5 of them are in different divisions, and so Schwarber are in the same division.
That was a bad guess.
But Schwarber is, I believe, number 1 in hard hit rate. Yeah, he is. So Schwarber is number 1 in hard hit rate.
But he chases too much, I guess.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, that was a very bad guess.
So you're missing an NL West, an NL Central, and an AL East. I'll tell you that.
AL East. How about Vladimir Guerrero?
There we go. So Vlad Guerrero is the 3rd name off the list.
Okay.
We got Duval J trying to play Seiya Suzuki. I mean, you could try to get the NL Central one next. It is not Seiya Suzuki.
It's not a Pirate. It could be
out of context trash talk, but I agree.
It's not a Cardinal.
Are you sure?
I don't think it's a Cardinal. I would guess Kyle Tucker.
It is not Kyle Tucker.
Is it really a Cardinal?
It is a Cardinal. So there's a Cardinal on this list.
So it's Lars Nootbaar?
Yeah, Lars Nootbaar is on this list. That was, in my opinion, the toughest name to guess. Like, that's the name that I would not have guessed.
Yeah.
And you're missing one, and he's in the NL West.
Is it Corey Seager?
NL West.
Oh, the AL West. Is it Matt Chapman?
So Matt Chapman actually just missed the cut. So if you put the hard hit rate down to, so I cheekily said 51%. If you put it down to 50%, Matt Chapman's on the list.
How about Max Muncy?
It is Max Muncy. So the full list is Juan Soto, Mike Trout, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Max Muncy, and my favorite name on the list, Lars Nootbaar. So shout out Lars for sneaking in with the big boys. But yeah, and also shout out Max Muncy. Hopefully he's back soon from his injury. Good hitter after he fixed his eye issue by wearing specs. So shout out to him for still balling out. All right. You did way better on that trivia than I did last week with my trivia, so I'll take it. It's a trade deadline in a few days. We have to end the show talking about the trade deadline. And there's a specific team that we're going to mention multiple times on this, and I'll just say it. The Miami Marlins need to be sellers. I mean, we all know that they're trying to quote unquote rebuild slash retool. And a guy I made a tweet about a few days ago, I feel like he needs his own segment, is Jesus Sanchez is one of those hitters that I think can really be a useful player and for a team that's even looking to just retool. And he is under team control until 2027, which makes this an intriguing guy that he might not get moved, but I want to see him get moved. And if he gets moved to a good team, this segment could really look smart in hindsight, because there's a lot of fits for a guy with upper quartile bat speed, upper quartile expected slugging, and a guy that's improved his chase rate and whiff rate significantly from last year. And at the break, he only had a 101 WRC plus, which axiomatically means he is a league average results hitter. But I don't think his home run the first night after the All-Star break was a one-hit wonder. If I'm a contender, I'm making calls for Jesus Sanchez because this is potentially a second half boom, and a guy that, because his results are so mediocre, you probably won't have to give up some of your biggest prospects in your organization, even though he is under team control till 2027. And I've seen a lot of, I mean, as is the case usually every trade deadline, there's a lot of smoke around the outfield area and possible destinations for teams looking for outfielders. And the Twins, the Reds, the Blue Jays have all been listed as contenders for guys that could make calls on Jesus Sanchez. But I want to see him go to a team that lacks serious power in the outfield department. So my favorite fit for Jesus Sanchez is the Guardians. They rank number 29 in outfield WRC plus and number 28 in isolated power. Nolan Jones is a guy that I have been a fan of in the past, and it may seem redundant to have two just like power lefty bats, but I think Cleveland can use all the power they could possibly get in the lineup because they just don't have as much of it. Because Jhonkensy Noel was supposed to be the next great power hitter. That's not happening anytime soon. Outside Jose Ramirez and in spurts Bo Naylor, like, where is the power really coming from in this lineup? And of course, Kyle Manzardo against right-handed pitching. But other than that, like, it may seem redundant to have another lefty power bat, but the Guardians can use all they get. So I like a buy low on Jesus Sanchez. How do you feel about this?
I think it'd be interesting. And Cleveland has their offense is terrible, so they could really use. I mean, Jesus Sanchez would probably be their second best hitter if they trade for him. And the one thing I will say, I don't know that a team's gonna really get such a discount on him because fans, like, they might not realize that Jesus Sanchez is a good hitter, but like the teams, they definitely know all the things you said, and like his expected weighted on base average is like 30 points higher than his actual one. So like even though his WRC plus is like around league average, I think teams are still gonna have to pay for like an above average bat.
Yeah, I mean, certainly could be, and it's always tricky with these like players that are under team control beyond just the 1 year, the few month rental. It's always tricky to predict where they're gonna, like, what they're gonna cost. But I feel like I just have this hunch that you have another Marlin that you also want to buy low on.
I do have another Marlin, and I think this Marlin, again, like, even though it's Sandy Alcantara, and even though he has the worst ERA of all pitchers with at least 50 innings, it's over 7, and he's hurt his team's chances of winning more than any pitcher. I still think he's actually, even though he hasn't been good at all, and like every metric you could look at, like that considers like results, and like even his ERA estimators are all like bad. Like, he's been bad, but I feel like he's a lot more talented, and any fan probably and teams realize this. He's a lot more talented than what his results show. Like, his stuff plus is 106, his pitching plus, which also considers the location of his pitches, which hasn't been as good, but it's still 105. And then I have an expected pitching plus metric, and it's also 105. So he's capable of pitching so much better than what he has demonstrated. and he's not a free agent after this year. So I don't understand why the Marlins why they want to trade him, because like they couldn't pick a worse time to trade him because of what we just said, that he's been the worst pitcher in the league. So his fastball, it still averages like over 97 miles per hour. So like I feel like I have like a predictive strikeout metric, and I know like other people that have developed a metric like that. Something that matters when you're trying to think about how many strikeouts a pitcher's gonna get like moving forward, or like his kind of like true talent strikeout rate. Velocity matters because if you can throw really hard, then like I think you're capable of throwing a really good fastball. Maybe the shape, like maybe it's not what it needs to be right now, but if you're throwing over 97 miles per hour, like you have what it takes to throw a great fastball and strike guys out. And he's only striking out like 16% of batters he's facing. So I think he is a lot better than, like, he's not the worst pitcher, and I think he probably could start for a team in the playoffs. So I think teams should want to trade for him, but the Marlins are making a mistake if they trade him and don't get a lot.
And
Or not, maybe not a lot, but they need it. They shouldn't just give him away. Like he's like, I just like, you want to sell high on guys and not sell low, and this would be the lowest you could ever sell on a player.
And it feels weird to just look at trade deadline articles and be like, the top starting pitcher on the block is Merrill Kelly, when deep in our brains we know that Sandy Alcantara has a way higher ceiling in a playoff run than Merrill Kelly. I think that basically summarizes like why this is a good candidate for a buy low. So I love that take. And on the flip side, like speaking of D-backs players, and we started at the top of the show talking about Eugenio Suarez. I feel like you've somewhat covered this, but give us one more pitch. Why are we so desperate? If you're a D-backs fan, why should you be so desperate to want to trade Eugenio Suarez this year?
Well, we said like they're probably not going to make the playoffs, and he's only under contract through the rest of this year. So if he's hitting home runs for you down the stretch, there's a chance that those home runs will not count for anything except maybe it'll be fun to see him. But like really what you want to do is win a World Series. So if a team like the Yankees or any playoff team, he's an above average hitter. So hit home runs that he could hit for them, like in the playoffs or maybe to win them a division, those would be more valuable. So, I mean, I think, and like we said, he's been hitting incredibly well. Like he's been one of the best hitters in baseball based on the results. So, like, a team may be willing to pay too much, dreaming that he's gonna hit home run after home run in the playoffs.
Yeah, and before we move on to our last segment, first off, completely agree on Eugenio. I just got to say, like, I remember the days Eugenio Suarez used to be plus 700 to hit a home run. It was last year, and this guy would cash me every time I would take him when he was in a good matchup. And now he's hitting home runs every day, on pace with Ohtani pretty much. So it's the price has never been higher. Before we move on to our last name on this segment, I want to give shout out to Hovey, who said happy Wenzel Perez Day. I know Max likes to hear that. And shout out to those who are in stream right now and dropping follows. Uncle Leo, Jonesy was taken. I don't know who Jonesy is, but shout out to you for the follow, and Duval J, appreciate the follow as well. We're on Twitch every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, and throughout the week I'm there. Jalab, MLB, and WNBA bets, but me and Max are here Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time every single week. I feel like it wouldn't be a full podcast episode if I didn't say something about the Red Sox. And it seems like I'm just going to be negative about the Red Sox the remainder of the season. I'm not trying to do this, but I wanted it at the beginning of the season, and I want it even more now. Can we please sell high on Jarren Duran? Because he had 127 WRC plus between the 2023 and 2024 regular seasons. But age 28 season, now he's having a down year, and I am not one bit surprised. There's an outfield problem with the Red Sox in that they have too many that can play baseball. Masataka Yoshida is essentially a designated hitter, but you still have Wilyer Abreu, Cedon Rafaela, who's not going anywhere, Jarren Duran, Roman Anthony, and the odd man out to me is so obviously Jarren Duran. Well, he's well below league average this season in expected WOBA, well below league average in strikeout rate and walk rate, and bottom quartile in chase rate and whiff rate. And the funniest thing about his profile is that last year he was in the upper quartile in outs above average, which expresses range as an outfielder pretty much. And this is a metric you often see like random spikes in a year because, first of all, sample size issues and the way catches are great and whatnot. But Jarren Duran ranks in the sixth percentile. So let me be clear. So that means 94% of qualified outfielders are better in this metric than Jarren Duran. So he's on the 6th percentile in outs above average, which matches the eye test. If you're an eye test guy as well watching defense, then yes, he takes a bad route to everything. He stumbles whenever he's near a wall. He has trouble calling for baseballs in the outfield. Like this guy has never been a great defensive outfielder, even though he saw a spike last year. And now, like, the 2 years of him hitting the ball really well are starting to fall off. And he crushed the Rockies and Nationals. Good for you. He hit an opposite field home run against Zach Wheeler. The price is not going to get higher. The Red Sox absolutely need to trade Jarren Duran. I am harassing the Padres front office on the phone until they block my number because the Padres have been known to make a lot of trades in the last few years and oftentimes overpay for good but not great players. Call the Padres until they block your number and get Jarren Duran to a contender before you have no space for him next year and he's just not a good player anymore. So that's my sell high. I'm done being negative about the Red Sox for today. Which brings us to our penultimate segment. It's trivia time again, so it's your turn, Max. What do you got for me?
All right, so mine's kind of similar to yours where you're trying to list as many as you can. So there's been 8 pitchers. 2 of them have done it twice, which that's probably a hint, that have struck out at least 13 batters in a game this season. So I want to see how many of those pitchers you can name.
Okay.
You can, if you want, you can try to name who he did it against, but you don't need to.
Sure. I'm going to – if Tariq Skubal, he's going to win Cy Young. So let's start with him.
Yep, he's done it twice.
Okay. And did you tell me how many players are on this list?
So now there's 7 other pitchers.
Okay, let's try Mackenzie Gore because I remember at least one such start.
He did it twice as well.
Okay. Now it gets tricky. I don't know if he reached 13 the other night, but I'll take a shot. Is Joe Ryan on this list?
I think he struck out. He might have struck out 11 the other day, but he has not struck out 13.
Okay. I don't think, like, I don't remember a single game where he's even done it once, let alone multiple times, but it's possible. But is Garrett Crochet on this list?
He is not.
Okay, that's what I thought. Like, it feels like he gets a healthy start every time, but he's never had 13. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, there's got to be some other obvious names I got.
Think about guys that have there's 2 pitchers on this list that did it against the Rockies. Besides, Mackenzie Gore had one start where he did against the Rockies.
Which I remember was against the Rockies. So that's why that was the second name that came to mind.
So there's 2 other pitchers that did it against the Rockies. And I guess I'll give an extra hint. They did it back-to-back days.
All right. When did we see? Okay, so the Rockies struggle a lot, but when have I ever remembered a pitcher who is back-to-back days?
And one of the pitchers who did the day after the first pitcher, he actually struck out 15, which he's the only pitcher to get 15 strikeouts this year. And he strikes people out, but like no one would ever guess this is the one guy who has struck out at least 15 in a game.
I mean, the fact that I'm getting a notification about Rich Hill at the same time we're talking about strikeout pitchers. My God. Okay. I'll just say it because I mean there's no way he's on the list because he's actually not been great this season. But just to push an agenda, let's say Dylan Cease, and then I'll go back to serious guesses.
Dylan Cease is not on the list.
Okay, great. I just had to get that out of the way.
But I think he's come close.
Makes sense. I mean, Dylan Cease spikes is okay. I mean, I can't avoid looking at chat. I mean, Duval J says Logan Gilbert. Is Duval J correct? Is Logan Gilbert on this list?
I think he's come close, but he is not on the list.
Interesting. Okay, this is
There
this is not
actually
as bad.
there is a Mariner on the list, but it's not Logan Gilbert.
Brian Wu.
No. I'll give you a hint. The Mariner, he did it against the Angels.
I mean, there aren't that many. There aren't simply not as many starting pitchers left on the Mariners. So it's Luis Castillo.
No.
Wait! You're trolling me.
You know this pitcher, like
George Kirby did it?
yeah, he had 14 against the Angels.
When did that happen?
June 8th.
I mean, he was throwing a no-hitter last night for a while, but when did George? I don't remember this. That's embarrassing. All right, Hunter Green.
Nope.
Duval, you're fired. All right. Okay. Do I have what? Do I still have 5 names left?
I think you have to name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And another hint is 2 pitchers have the same first name. Like it sounds the same.
Oh, okay. This is a Zach situation. So
Yeah.
Zach Wheeler and when did Zach Gallen have a single good start this year?
Against the Yankees.
Oh, that makes sense.
He struck
Facing
out
a bad-
13.
Oh, that makes sense. Facing a bad team. Yeah. So Crack the Books had it at the same time I did, which was.
So now you have to name the 2 people that did against Colorado back-to-back starts, and then there's a pitcher that's in the. I guess I'll give you another hint. All 3 pitchers remaining are in the NL East.
Okay. Yes. So I thought of the. I don't know why I thought of the pair, and I thought of the pair that did it against the Rockies because Spencer Strider is on this list, even though he started the season late, and it was not somehow Schwellenbach is not the one on this list. It is Grant Holmes. I remember he's the 15. He's the 15. I just remembered this.
And then now there's one other NL East starter that he struck out 13, but it was. Or actually, he struck out 14. Sorry, he struck out 14, and it was in April.
So I don't know if I should. So I know this, and I don't know if I should be embarrassed with myself or not. I drafted him in fantasy baseball this year, and I took me this long to get him. It's Max Meyer.
Yep. So now that's all of them.
Wow, what a list! So to recap, Zach Gallen, Zach Wheeler, some guy named Tariq Skubal did it a couple of times. Mackenzie Gore, did he do it? Was he the other one that did it twice?
Yes.
Okay. Grant Holmes and Spencer Strider, George Kirby, and Max Meyer. What a list.
Job.
I don't deserve applause for that. That was embarrassing.
Well, it's not easy. Like
that's fair.
There's been there's like code that you can run to get like all the starts by pitchers. So there's been 3,012 starts this year. So that's a lot. So it's not easy to remember who struck out 13 or more, especially because some of these, like Zach Gallen, did it the first week of the season.
Yeah, I mean that's also I would have not guessed Zach Gallen if you had not given the same name hint. Because I literally forgot about that. First week of the season is also when people are like, the Yankees are cheating because they're using torpedo bats. So what a time that was. Anyway, let's close out the show with one hot take each. And we got to stick with the trade deadline theme. It is next week. Give me a hot take, and dare you stick with the same team, but I know where this is going. Give me a hot take for the trade deadline.
Yeah, so I looked at ESPN's, like they published a list of the top 50 trade candidates, and I think the best starter on my hot take is the best starter on that list is another Marlin, Edward Cabrera, who his ERA, all the estimators, they're all in the 3s. He gets strikeouts more than most pitchers, and the big thing for him is he actually isn't walking everyone. and he limits damage on balls in play. And so I think he's another playoff caliber starter, but the only thing maybe that teams are worried about is, like, can he keep up this strike throwing?
Yeah. Shout out to Duval J. This is the most accurate but funny comment I've seen ever on Twitch. Max is a chill guy and Ahan is the hype guy. Yeah. I have way too much energy. I had to cut that down on coffee because I'm having surgery in a couple of days, and coffee will not do me any good. Yeah, I mean, Edward Cabrera has been the perennial guy you bet for stolen bases and walks against him, but he can continue throwing strikes. Like, the stuff is clearly there. I'm going the other route with my hot take. I'm giving you a hot take about a trade that not many people are thinking about right now that not only will happen, but will turn out fruitful. And I promise I'm not just saying this to make you happy, but the Detroit Tigers, we agree they're World Series contenders. But we also agree they could use another bat because they can get cold at the plate sometimes. I'm saying this. There's a player out there who is not had a good season objectively, offensively, but I still believe in him. I believe he can have a spike. And the reason people are so quick to say he's just a bad baseball player is he plays in a hitter-friendly ballpark, and still his results aren't great. But Ryan McMahon, he ranks in the second percentile in whiff rate and the third percentile in K rate, but he still hits the ball really hard. He ranks in the upper quartile in barrel rate, average exit velocity, bat speed, and he still walks a lot. And he plays both corner spots on the infield if necessary. And he ranks in the upper quartile in third baseman's outs above average. Ryan McMahon will get traded to the Tigers. And not only that, from moving from Coors Field to Detroit, this is about as hot of a take as it can get. But Ryan McMahon starts running into baseballs pretty much every day and finishes with a weighted runs created plus north of 120 in a Tigers uniform in 2025. I think the Tigers go get him, and he's already a good defender, but he starts running into baseballs. And yes, he'll strike out a little bit, but it's part of the game. They need that bat, and they get it with Ryan McMahon. I have a feeling, other than potentially Eugenio Suarez, this could be the trade deadline acquisition as a bat. Think like 2018 Steve Pearce. I smell that with Ryan McMahon. How do you feel about the outfield market here? Duval J asked, where is Luis Robert going? I mean, hopefully somewhere, because goddamn, I think this man still has talent. He's been hitting the ball hard a lot lately, and I don't want to see him in Chicago. Where is Luis Robert going? Max, do you have a take?
I don't know. Maybe the Dodgers. I know the Dodgers. I know the Dodgers have been. I think they've been interested before, and he's really talented, like you were saying, but he's had injuries, and I think he chases out of the zone all the time.
Yeah. I mean, Luis Robert, once people were saying he's going to win an MVP at some point, this season ranks below average in expected WOBA, but still above average in barrel rate, and the bat speed is still there. He's only 27 years old. Like, that's the thing. Like, there is a possibility that he moves to an environment which has lineup protection and just a general, like, winning environment and completely turns it around. But if you go back just recently, I call it recently, but 2023, he was in the upper quartile in expected WOBA, 92nd percentile in expected slugging, 93rd percentile in barrel rate. So I still think this is a good, a potential 4+ tool player. And if Luis Robert goes to the Dodgers, we might just have to call it on this season because they don't need Luis Robert. They can deal with Mookie Betts right now. Max, fun show as always. I say as always as if we've been doing this for years, but fun second show. Like I said earlier, catch us every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time on Twitch. Or if you miss the shows, no problem. Go to the Ball Institute YouTube channel and get these episodes uploaded every Wednesday night. We'll be here talking baseball. Our next episode will be around the trade deadline. But again, like I said, Tuesday, so right before the trade deadline. Should be a hot stove on the diamond. But for now, we'll see you on the next episode of The Deep Drive.